And we are live, guys. Welcome, girls of high value, to another live stream from Oslo, Norway. My name is Joseph Darling. What we're going to talk about today is how you can learn to create a quality life for yourself. There was a study that was made with a bunch of Harvard students. And this is an ongoing study that has gone over 70 years, discovering these students and figuring out what is it that produced the most happiness in their lives throughout their lifetimes. And they looked at every single aspect of their lives, and they made a TEDx talk about it, and the link is in the description. And what they found was that it was all about the quality of relationships. The quality of relationships in one's life was truly the decision maker whether one had a quality life or not. And like I always say, there's only 3 categories of life. Just keep it simple. You've got relationships, you've got health, and you've got money. That's it. There are no other categories of life. The only thing that you want with your money is to have good health, have access to food, shelter, clothing, everything that you need to protect your health. And you also want to have money so that you can keep up with the Joneses sometimes. And you can also, I don't recommend that, by the way, but you can actually invest in people that you love and help them to achieve their dreams, to grow their talents, and to do what they want to do with their lives. And that money can also produce the safety and security that a woman needs in order for her to be unburdened enough for her to actually invest time with her most loved ones and with her husband and with her kids and her grandkids and not have to worry about anything. The economy can go up and down and over, and things can be crashing down, and wars can be heard of in different places, but as long as the money is taken care of, as long as there are resources, maybe it's not even money, maybe if you've got a patch of land that produces the all of the food that you need, that's fantastic too. But you've got to have resources enough to create the life that you want, the quality life. Now, some people might say, well, then I guess then money doesn't buy happiness. That's not correct. Happiness doesn't buy groceries either. You've got to have both. You've got to have money. You've got to have happiness. Your happiness will come from your relationships, but very often your relationships will be strained when there is no money. You know, that's like something that people don't even think about. It's like there needs to be somewhat of a level of sustenance, of monetary solution that takes care of the family and that takes care of your sufficiency, your needs, the things that you actually need to survive. If you don't have that, then safety and security will be an issue, and you will be blaming and you will be in the tug of war together with your loved one, which at that moment in time, it doesn't feel like he's a loved one. Does that make sense? So, if you know that it's these 3, and you know that a man, if he has motivation to do what he needs to get done, that he can actually 10x his income, that he can 100x his income or 1000x his income. Why on earth would you as a woman go out to the marketplace and compete? It absolutely has no purpose whatsoever unless you haven't found the guy yet. But if you found the guy, then hopefully the guy you found is motivated to 10x his income, to 100x his income, to 1000x his income. If he's not motivated, then like what kind of guy is he? Like, does he actually love you? Does he actually love his children? Does he actually believe that success is his duty, responsibility, and his obligation towards his family? If he doesn't, then what kind of guy are you choosing? This is the main reason why I always tell girls to make sure they involve other people in the selection of her husband. The most critical aspect about her husband is that he has massive ambitions, he has massive goals, and if he hasn't accomplished them already, he is heavily on the way to accomplishing them. And that is his main goal. His main goal is not to get married. His main goal is not to have kids necessarily. His main goal first is to establish his empire, to make sure that safety and security has been established for his future family, his wife, and his kids. Does that make sense? You want to be part of a guy who looks at the world as his potential empire, and he wants to overcome his issues in order to solve other people's issues. This is the guy you want to be with, because he will 10x, 100x, and 1000x his money. At that moment in time, how much time do you have to think about money? Nothing. And that's the goal that you should have when you're young. As you go, as you become an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 22-year-old, whatever age you are or have been, you should be thinking, I don't want to be thinking about money all my life. Exactly. Who wants to think about money? Money has no purpose other than to purchase the needs for the family and those that you love. It has no other purpose. So why would someone be chasing the money if it has no purpose? Especially if you can get your husband to do it. And he's fired up outside his brain about doing that. This is my relationship to my wife. She basically chose when we were getting married, she told me, I don't want to work a day in my life. And I'm like, yes! Because I knew I could actually create a family out of that. The probability of divorce increases when the woman is in the workforce. So, me being allowed to go out there and compete in the marketplace and to create something, that fired me up. Now, we got children very early on that made it even more difficult for me to provide, so we should have probably done it the other way around, of me actually establishing my empire and then having kids. But at the same time, in the end, it eventually becomes the same thing. In the old age, we have the book Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill, and he talks about how men always hit their stride in their 40s of actually producing massive income and beginning the exponential growth of becoming rich. What he didn't say was that this was in the old age, when people actually got married young and had kids immediately. That was what was normal back in the day. You were 20, 21, 22, it's time to get married. And they did get married, and it took them 20 years, basically until the kids were old enough to take care of themselves, for the man to finally be able to put everything that he's learned and all of the network that he's established throughout his life to produce exponential growth financially. However, in this day and age right now, it doesn't take more than 3 to 5 years if the man actually is being coached by the right people to take the necessary action and to get his mindset right to produce lots of money and lots of finances and stability and security for a woman and for his kids. It doesn't take 20 years anymore as it did in the old age. A man can actually get to that point when he's 22, 25, or 30. Depends on how focused he is on his values, on him establishing his empire. Like, for example, what I say is my highest value is, truth, freedom, and family. But before I should have started a family, I don't regret anything, of course. And I love my wife, but I should have focused on freedom, establishing my financial stability and security before we started having kids. So you need to make sure that you select a guy that prioritizes money so you don't have to. Money matters. And in the same way, you then have the opportunity of focusing solely on relationships and health, just as any feminine woman would want it. The quality of life is determined by the quality of your relationships. How deep relationships can you get if you do not invest in them on a daily or a bi-weekly basis? You cannot have depth in relationships because it has to do with trust. If you don't go deep with people and open up and be honest with people, there will be no depth. There will always be shallowness where people are not willing to open up. You can come here, but no further. That's not acceptable. This is this is the sexual relationships of the day. I'm gonna have sex with this guy, but I don't want to open up to him because then he might hurt me and my feelings might get hurt and blah blah blah. What kind of relationships is that? Like, that's shallow relationships. That is not quality. Quality comes from the depth of relationships, and it happens over time. It's not something that you meet someone on the weekend and suddenly you have a quality of a relationship. Even though you both might be in love, there's no quality in that relationship unless you actually manage to overcome problems together, unless you actually get to go deep with each other, unless you both open up about everything to each other and you want the exact same things out of life. Then you can create depth. Then you're excited about spending time with each other, and over time, the trust hopefully will be established. And if you've got the same value system, then beautiful. But most of the time, that's not for meeting people during the weekends. It's kind of like the guys who approach you during the day most of the time. It doesn't happen very often. And there are players out there, but there might be guys out there who approach you in a sober manner and they just want to get to know you. And those are the guys you actually should be intrigued to talk to because they approached you during the day. That takes a lot of kahunas. That takes a lot of confidence. And they actually did it. No matter how nervous they were, especially the ones that are nervous, they're the ones that you should actually, this is an interesting guy. He's nervous. And the reason he's nervous is because he hasn't done it before. He doesn't do it on a daily basis, which means that you're probably in good hands. You might not be, though, so be wise. But at the same time, maybe you should introduce him to your parents. Maybe you should introduce him to the people. Do you understand what I mean? Don't make the decision on your own. Bring in your family, and then maybe see where it can go. So, you understand? My point with this is that your quality of life will be dependent upon the quality of your relationships, and you don't want to be thinking about money. If you found the guy. If you haven't found the guy, you've got to worry about money until he is found. But that's why your side business should not be a side business if you already have a job or you have a business. Your side business should be preparing yourself to find a high-value man and avoiding low-value man for as long as you can. Does that make sense? Joey and Phoebe from Friends. There was one episode, one of the earliest episodes, where Joey said to Phoebe that there's no such thing as a selfless act. And she basically, throughout the entire episode, tried to prove him wrong because she hated the fact that people did things because they were selfish. But it's not about being selfish. It's about whenever you do good to others, they always do good to you, or you will feel good about the thing that you did, which makes it's a transformation when you serve other people. When you serve other people, definitely your quality of your relationships will increase, and thereby your quality of life. Make sure you always remember to invest in those people who will invest in you and who are actually growing and reading and becoming and improving their people skills on a daily basis, and who take responsibility for their actions, their thoughts, and their doings. You don't want to be with someone who blames. That's the worst thing in the world. To invest time and money and attention in people who blame is horrific. You want to make sure that you find someone, everyone around you as well, make sure that they don't blame. Of course, it starts with you, but at the same time, I don't blame women for blaming, because they should blame men, because men have greater capacity to actually take massive action because they've got 10 to 20 times more testosterone, meaning more motivation to actually make things happen. And that's why you should definitely make sure you choose the right guy. I've got the other channel, the Men of High Value channel. As you follow that channel, I know we talk about a lot of stuff that's not for girls at all. But look at the people who comment, read their comments, and see, this one's interesting. This one's interesting. Over time, you can kind of see who this person is, and who knows, maybe we have found a matchmaking opportunity. This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you again tomorrow.